a AI-powered digital platform, which powers almost 6,000 plus businesses globally. We work with a lot of hospitality, a lot of banking, a lot of retail, automotive in few countries. Of course, very strong in US.
How did you ensure there was alignment across cultures? Because your teams are operating globally now. So how did you manage the culture, time zones, and how fast evolving tech priorities?
We also did a ton of training for last 2-3 years. We did a ton of training around communication, high performance team, leadership trainings, calm clarity training, tech communication. Point thought I always had in my mind that yes, folks can always get technical training, and of course we do that all the time, but it's really important for them to align as a team. When it comes to culture, that is the hardest thing, because, and especially a company which has been in the business for 30 years, because you have to literally create a culture where people are ready to challenge workflows, which they have been doing for the last 30 years. And that's what, along with upskilling, we have just launched how are we going to be AI first by end of this year.
What patterns do you see in entrepreneurs who are women today that give you hope for the future of leadership in tech? Today, I'm honored to welcome Benu Aggarwal, founder and president of Milestone Inc., a digital marketing and SaaS powerhouse based in San Francisco. With nearly 3 decades of experience, Benu is not only a visionary tech executive, but also an entrepreneur who built Milestone from a one-woman operation into a global leader without a dollar of external funding. She's a sought after expert in voice search, local SEO, digital discovery, and AI first platform. Benu's strength lies in her ability to turn complex technologies into accessible, results driven solutions. She serves on non-profit boards, mentors startups, and remains a relentless advocate for women leaders. Hi, Benu. Welcome to SheLeads Podcast. We're very excited to have you here and go through your journey and learn from your journey today. So, Benu, take us back to the early days of Milestone. What gave you the confidence to start a bootstrapped tech company at a time when digital marketing wasn't even mainstream?
It's a years of 30 years of journey. And I was actually not thinking about starting such a big company. I was just thinking about solving customer problem using technology. That has always been, I'm really passionate about that how do you solve problem using technology? And that's how I started Milestone. I specifically don't have tech background, but I taught myself everything, whatever it took to make things happen.
I'm curious now, Binu, you said that you don't have a tech background. Can you share with us a little bit what your education was like? What was your bachelor's, master's, like whatever degrees you got? I'm very curious to learn that.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, absolutely, Swati. So yes, I my education was in India, and I grew up in India. It's bachelor's and master's in marketing, and I worked in hospitality industry back in India. Then I came here, and I think almost 30 years back, I started Milestone. But before I started, I was working in small to mid-size hotels. And that's what gave me confidence. When you come from India, you pretty much is like, okay, I can pretty much do anything. And 2 years into my role, I started Milestone, and Milestone pivoted. This is pre-Google days. Digital did not exist that time, so I started as a hospitality advisory and consulting, and that led into a lot of communication, marketing communication, and that led into a lot of digital when there was a wave of digital. Right. Funny thing is that I co-authored a book, and it's called Hotels to HTML. And that book was published. It was first version, which I just wrote it on my own, second version and third version. And that book was published by AHLA, an educational institute. I did a lot of speaking across entire US, and that's how Milestone started. It was just hands-on figuring out things.
Yeah.
And there are just hundreds of stories, but I think what gives me confidence is never taking no for an answer and just making things happen and go with my gut feel.
Totally. And I mean, like the bold bets you took at the very beginning of your career gave you the confidence to start Milestone and scale it into the amazing powerhouse it is today. So, thank you for sharing that journey, Binu. And also, what I got to learn is you talked about your education back in India, marketing and hospitality focused, and you stayed true to like the business aspect of your education, although, as you said, like you weren't tech. Focused at that point. But then, yeah, like your learning definitely helped you start what Milestone turned out to be. So, Veenu, my next question would be with like how the product is today within Milestone. Can you walk us through the product thinking behind Milestone's AI powered discovery platform?
Absolutely. Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about Milestone first. Milestone is a AI-powered digital platform which powers almost 6,000 plus businesses globally. We work with a lot of hospitality, a lot of banking, a lot of retail, automotive in few countries. Of course, very strong in US. And also Mexico, Colombia, Canada, some of the countries. Like I said, I'm always passionate about solving problem using technology. And I have this pattern recognition 80-20 rule that I want to focus on that 20%, which is going to have 80% impact. And that time I did not know that's really a product thinking. So when I started Milestone, I was like, okay, there was a huge gap in the industry. Everybody used to have content management system, but they did not think about search friendly. They did not think about discovery. They would think about experience, right? Whether you take Adobe or whichever CMS content management system you would think about, they would only think about experience, not discovery. Consumers, brands problem is discovery. Experience comes later. And that was
Correct.
the very first product we built, which was content management system, which is still a world-renowned CMS and used by a lot of big brands. Of course, we are at the seventh generation of CMS, which is fully microservices and has AI embedded into it. So, and along with content management system, we build platform, we build, various products on top of it. But we were always thinking about solving customer journey problem. We were not really thinking about creating a product. We were always thinking about solving how do I solve discovery problem, how do I solve experience problem, how do I solve acquisition problem, and end of the day help customer drive more return. So total cost of ownership needs to be low, and I can solve all these problems. And that's how all the products Milestone has, they came about. And of course, after that, we built platform. That's a little background.
Super exciting, I'm sure, how it all evolved. What I'm also excited to know, what is the most exciting part of solving the discovery and acquisition problems for global hospitality brands? That's where you guys play best.
I think most exciting part is when we drive crazy returns for customer, right? We have had customers who would get promotion because it drove so much revenue and or so much presence and so much revenue because when they got onto our platform, right? So that's the most exciting part. As a business owner, we are almost like a doctor, right? When you look at a patient and say, "Oh my God, you are amazing, you are healthy, you are happy." That's the same way. Most exciting part is product and solution which helps customer drive crazy results. And we still have customers who've been with us for 30 years. So it's incredible to have that kind of tenure for employees and customer both.
No, that's perfect. You mentioned a little bit about your employees. I would love to understand as Milestone scaled globally, how did you ensure there was alignment across cultures? Because your teams are operating globally now. So, how did you manage the culture, time zones, and how, like, fast evolving tech priorities?
So I think that's the most interesting and a most difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
So culture alignment, we are in literally 10 countries and it's hard because somebody in New York and somebody in Ahmedabad or Bangalore, their communication style is going to be totally different. So what we had to do is, number one, there are several things we did, but for last few years, we have been doing a lot of, we aligned everybody with common company OKRs, and qualitative and quantitative both, right? So everybody has same OKR. It doesn't matter where you are, and everybody aligns with top level OKR. Number two is we give a lot of transparency to people, right? So, in fact, every product presentation, every team presentation starts with numbers. And that's important, right? So, we always say if you have to know what you're building, the numbers attached to it. And of course, what are the qualitative criteria? Is your NPS good? Is your engagement good? So that was all around alignment. But there's a few things we did differently. We also did ton of training for last 2 3 years. We did ton of training around communication, high performance team, leadership trainings, calm clarity training, decker communication. Point I or thought I always had in my mind that yes, folks can always get technical training, and of course we do that all the time, but it's really important for them to align as a team. And that's where Simon Sinek, high performance training, all of those things came around. And that actually built a very good culture because people are coming together, even if they're on Zoom, they're coming together and they are part of the they're part of the training. So there was a lot of small trainings, big trainings organized, which were cross functional. Now fast forward now, 2 years into making it. Now, if you look at, we don't have individual OKRs. Everything we have is cross-functional. We have pods. It's not one team's initiative. We all celebrate our wins together, and we all laugh on our losses together. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of conscious effort that you need to put in building that amazing of a company culture. And one reason why I got connected with you and your team is how female led your team is. So building that culture is not easy, but you being such a powerhouse leader, I'm sure it came to you naturally, but not easily. As you said, all of the effort that is behind it, that we knew, I'm sure, like, a lot of learning for a lot of people who are hearing this podcast for doing it for their own organizations. So, next question would be what your approach has been to translating a company or product vision into something that every team, whether it be engineering or marketing or product, all of these teams can rally behind that vision. How do you set that?
I think biggest thing about aligning everyone is why. So there's a really nice podcast by Simon Sinek, starts with why. And if you can align everyone behind why are they building what they are building? What are they doing? What problem they are solving? And what is an impact? And how does it relate to metrics, right? Then everybody gets aligned. One other thing we did very successfully in India and US is we got all our teams together. So twice a year, we get all folks in India together. We fly a few folks from US, and same thing from India to US. There are a few folks from India coming now. So that also got a lot of connection. People, we literally created a milestone tribe. We have WhatsApp group, which is just one milestone. We have Teams channels, Slack channels, newsletters. So nothing is just for India or just for Colombia or just for Mexico. It is, or for US. We also started this whole initiative called One Milestone. So really, if anybody kind of felt like, oh, this is India or US or this company or this, we would always ask them, okay, why do you feel that way? Because as a leaders and department and everything, we aligned. We didn't do anything just for one region. We did it for global milestone.
It makes sense. Keeping the culture global and flowing within, like, seamlessly within all your teams, and like recognizing those channels that you mentioned for that to happen seamlessly. I think that makes all the difference.
Actually, there was one other thing we did is asked folks, whether you are in India or US or wherever, real-time access to customer.
Okay, yeah.
So we have a tool where everybody can see what is customer sentiment, what is the usage, why do they like it, why do they not like it.
Nice.
So that
Yeah.
kind of became DNA. even engineering, they are going into the tool and truly understanding what is customer sentiment. Why did they like certain things or did not like it, right?
Wow.
And we aligned everyone cross functionally around customer sentiment.
Wow, nice. That is very valuable. I don't see a lot of companies doing that. There's a lot of flow happening top down to management, then product, and then engineering, right? Engineering rarely gets to see what customer is actually seeing. And I think that makes all the difference in the sense that what you mentioned with at the very beginning, getting everyone behind a very collective why, right? Why are we building this? What is the actual problem that we're solving for the customer? And everyone being a champion for that versus like one team pushing the other to do something. I think, yeah, that's where like the culture piece really fits in and shines. Thank you for that, Binu. Next question I would have around this is, how do you embed long-term vision into day-to-day execution without it becoming another slide deck?
Very good question. I think long term vision is for businesses, apart from the metric, is always, are we truly solving customer problems? And fortunately, unfortunately, customer problems keeps changing because technology keeps changing. Today is about AI. 10 years back, it was all about mobile. And 20 years back, it was all about desktop, right? So the way you stay true to your vision when you integrate staying ahead, customer
Yeah.
delight, and high performance as key pillars for company as an in a company or as a DNA, right? So we have this that every single employee, every single department needs to do a little bit of R&D, little bit of staying ahead, sharing latest and greatest. That's part of our appraisal. That's part of our value system. So, it's not just what is coming from top. We also did a lot of agile training. Anytime there is a very big conference, whether it's a Microsoft or Google I/O or whichever, there is a lot of information sharing. There is R&D team which is constantly sharing information. And that's what, just getting people, intrinsically people want to learn. But most of the time we don't know what is the right thing to learn. Now, things are constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Last year, we've been focused on all AI learning.
Yeah.
And previously, we were focused on communication, but that's just part of a DNA. And this is one of the reasons we have, knock on wood, we won best place to work in India, and we have very little attrition, which is brings smile to my face.
Congratulations on that. You mentioned a little bit about the AI shift, and from what I have learned about Milestone, you guys are very AI enabled already. And in today's landscape, more than anything, more than like using any sort of AI tools and like the tech behind it, because it's evolving so fast, it requires more of a mindset shift. And with like the number of years Milestone has been operating and the scale that Milestone is operating at, there is a certain mindset shift that would have sort of started it all. So would love to understand what were some of those earliest decisions that nudged Milestone in that direction of being AI enabled right from the start.
I think, first of all, AI enablement in product is slightly different than culture. So I'll talk about two things. So, of course, we built AI as part of our culture. We built a platform on top of our existing platform, and we brought in different types of model, and based on use cases, we can choose whichever model we wanted to consume. So, and in fact, our product team did a great job. Ritika, Neha, all of these guys, they did great job to make product really shine when it came to AI first. Now, when it comes to culture, that is the hardest thing because, and especially a company which has been in the business for 30 years, because you have to literally create a culture where people are ready to challenge workflows, which they have been doing for last 30 years. And that's what, along with upskilling, we have just launched how are we going to be AI first by end of this year, where we are going to challenge every single workflow. For example, why do we want designer to help you with presentation? You can do it on your own. Why do we want so all of these workflows which add so much time in production, now you can do it, right? So of course we did a lot of training but we launch 8-step process, which is step one is always come up. What is your workflow? What task is taking most amount of time, and do we really need to do that, right? Do we really need to use this presentation for customer? Can you be create a mock using Bolt or something and provide that real quick, right? Do we really need to go through lo-fi and hi-fi? So that's a thinking we had to kind of curiosity mind, which we needed to give it to all, or need to make sure that every employee had that. Then, of course, upskilling part. Then making sure we run a lot of POC, proof of concept. In fact, we are asking every department to run these proof of concept to make sure that they can test out these things. This is a time where that's part of their OKR. Tell us how many POCs did you do? And then once POCs are successful, then cross-functionally. Then how did you work with, because product can't do this alone, they have to do it with engineering.
Yeah.
And product and UX needs to work together. So cross-functionally, we aligned everyone. Then we created a policy for our data and governance, and then which tools you're going to get, and how we are going to inspire people, and how, in fact, every single woman in India, all women employees are signed up for AI Kiran program, which is by Government of India. So there are just a ton of initiative, but it is more around that's where we want to be. By end of this year, we want to be AI first, and a lot of step at a time helps us move fast. And I think the only one thing I will say is AI first culture is learning it all. It's not knowing it all. It's not 20 years of experience or 30 years of experience. It's about, do you have curious mind, and are you willing to get your hands dirty? And that was the biggest shift, that including me as a leader, we are sitting on the weekend and we are learning.
I totally resonate with what you said, that it's with the stage that AI tech is at this point. It's more about being curious, ready to learn, and what you already know, seamlessly blending both of those understandings and moving forward.
Yes.
So a follow-up I have, I picked up on a bit that you said that you enabled all your departments to do POC. I'm curious to understand, is when you talk about the POCs, it's more about how they utilize AI to work amongst themselves and be more productive? Is that the piece, or it's more POCs for your product being like having AI tech in your
First one, right?
first?
So you figure, we all employees work together to figure out what are the biggest bottleneck, and then we do a lot of knowledge sharing.
Yeah.
And then there is a incentives, and there are OKRs, and all of that aligns. So there is training, there is alignment, there are tools, there is data, and of course, amazing milestone community.
Amazing. Yeah, that's super awesome. Thank you, Binu. And the follow-up to that would be, how has AI changed the way that you guys define success? So you mentioned OKRs, so definitely that is a big piece of that. Whether it's for product launch, client outcome, or internal metric, how has that defined success so far?
Yeah, so in our Gen AI content offering to images alignment, that is our image studio product we have, which is integrated with Vision API. Then we have this whole personalization offering, which is again part of our CMS. So we have a lot of amazing data from customers. So we launched analytics and business insight on a fly for every customer. We also, so basically every single touch point when customer comes to Milestone, we are automating everything, every single workflow, taking each workflow and automating everything using AI. So think of it as our orchestration layer is completely getting automated. Now, of course, for employees, when they are trying out their use cases, they are able to do same thing much more effectively and much more confidently, because now they can use AI rather than going back to somebody else for that data.
Yeah, definitely. And with like AI, the AI piece blending in so much in everyday tasks and in all of the workflows, as a leader, how do you think about responsibility and transparency when it comes to deploying AI across your platforms and services?
I think that security is a huge part. AI governance is a huge, huge part, right? For example, and again, we are still in the process of defining all of that which model to use. We have given access to few models to customers and of course to employees, but which models to use, what kind of a data you can or you cannot. We have a very strict policy around security and customer data, because we do work with a lot of big brands who are very, very, and we care about their data a lot. Yeah, so in nutshell, there are policies around how to use the data, which data to use, which data not to use, and we are still refining and defining these policies. And we also put all the data, all customer data, we put it in cloud and cleaned up all the data so that it's, and has all kinds of guardrail, so it's that data is easily available but with guardrails.
So yeah, Benu, thank you for taking us through like your journey very succinctly in the terms like how Milestone came into being, what sort of inspired you, and how quickly, like with the change in landscape and tech landscape, more to say, how quickly you guys have evolved and embraced it, right, in the very right way, how it should be done in today's environment.
You're good.
We need a lot of more inspiration from you. So I would love to understand that you like so far you've mentored a lot of startups and supported nonprofits. Previously, when we were talking, then you mentioned that you're working on your own nonprofit, Bold Step, as well. So I would love to understand what patterns do you see in entrepreneurs who are women today that give you hope for the future of leadership in tech.
Wow, really, really good question. I think trait I see is women who don't take no for an answer, who are not always looking for somebody else to validate things for them,
Yeah.
and they are not postponing taking bold steps for future. I think and being a women entrepreneur and, mom and a wife, and I have a very big social circle, all of that stuff is just, you cannot postpone things. You cannot say, let me just do one thing and I'll postpone my kids, or I'll take care of kids and I'll postpone my career, right? Actually, everything comes together. And yes, you have to be curated, but you have to have confidence in your own capability that you're going to be able to do it. And yes, if we curate ourselves, we can do anything, because women are multitasker and they have presence of mind every single wherever they are. But biggest thing is trade is, can they curate uh, and they can take bold steps, and they are not taking no for an answer.
uh, totally resonate with that sentiment that you can't postpone something for another. If you are passionate about something, take it along. Maybe it's in a smaller amount than it would have been before, like other responsibilities, but yeah, you have to take it forward and keep that passion moving. And your journey is such a testament to that. Very happy, very inspired with everything we got to learn from your journey today. So super grateful for this conversation. Thank you, Benu. Thank you for the amazing podcast with us.
Thank you so much, Swati. And yes, women can manage wonderful kids, family, and business all together. It cannot be one or other. So thank you.